What's up, guys? 415 here. Just bringing you a quick news bulletin here. And been an interesting time in the news stories. A few days ago, I believe it was yesterday actually, that Secretary Wogan died. Bringing that up on BBC News now. So. So yeah, looks though that we lost another legend, and also it just seems people have been dropping like flies this month, and it all started off with David Bowie earlier this month, last month, sorry. Other headlines that we have at the moment is that Sakia, I think that's Sakia linked disease is World Health Organization emergency. Tusk to publish UK EU settlement, and also apparently there's been a mother of pearl clouds with some clouds seen over the UK at the moment. Also, there has been some business news about Sainsbury's wanting to buy out Argos. And also, people saying, what would Trump presidency be like? And also, the Scotland have been warned, warning not to travel as Storm Henry takes grip on Scotland, as they're anticipating 90-mile-per-hour winds or more. Looks though could be we could have sustained winds into category 1 strength. And just looking so also the deadline day for the it's the transfer deadline day. See, commentary to City. CCFC announced the signing of a huge Chinese takeaway on the short-term deal at Brighton. That's quite funny. That tweet came in from them half an hour ago. That's quite funny, actually. Not really much else to report on that. So yeah, so we'll go onto the story now. Warning not to travel as Storm Henry takes grip in Scotland. Motorists have been advised against travel in parts of Scotland as Storm Henry sweeps in, bringing gusts of nearly 90 miles per hour. Traffic Scotland said only a central journey should be attempted as roads and bridges and rail routes are battered by heavy rain and gale force winds. Lorries have been blown over, trees uprooted and buildings damaged. The Forth Road Bridge has reopened to cars only, but will likely shut again to all traffic later. Earlier, the bridge was closed after winds of 84 miles per hour were recorded. Some meteorologists saying said peak winds were expected on Western Isles between 1500 and 1700, and also and around 2100 again as well. But it's been an interesting time on the weather scene. Also, waves are quite high on the Scottish coast as well, and ferry sailings have been disrupted by Storm Henry. And a total of 27 flood warnings have been issued by the Scottish Environment Protection Agency, or SEPA, which suggests that flooding is expected and immediate action is required. And also saying to the team, to Craig Fisher, if he's watching, is that it looks as though that it could get worse for you, and so do stay safe, mate, and I hope you get through it. A lot of swells have been felt off the coast of Scotland at the moment. Most of the barrier, sort of like the barrier islands, are taking the brunt of the storm, with smaller waves being experienced on mainland coast. And I'm going to move on to some other news now. Kabul suicide bombing kills 20. That's some news from Asia. Polls tight ahead of Iowa vote from the US election 2016. And so it's just this world's going to shit, really. Barclays has been fined over dark pool trading. Taxpayers to turn to online returns. In news of politics, Tusk to publish UK EU settlement. Looks though some news come through on the EU referendum that trying to pass at the moment for the UK to leave the European Union. But yeah, looking now to the tech news, fury at YouTuber's trademark attempt. And the illegal football streams pose danger. Because looks like that could. Some people are saying that legal football streams are dangerous. Study says most of the streams are thought to contain some sort of virus. Especially Trojan horses have been found in quite a few of them. Science news: emissions boosted England storm risk. Some news come through on 10 Peak as well. You can check that out more on bbc.co.uk/news. Fears grow amid Brazil's Zika crisis. The health news, other than the Zika situation, is relatively quiet at the moment. The UK have approved embryo gene editing. And then the education news: Open University staff suspend strike. More children seek help after sex abuse. School bus driver was drunk at the wheel in southeastern Wales. Black workers suffer 23% pay gap. Edinburgh schools evacuated after threats. I believe this was threatening phone calls were received at the Royal High School at Tynecastle High in Georgia. Were taken from their classes on Monday at 10:30 when the threatening phone calls were made. And in the entertainment and arts news, condolence books for Sir Terry Wogan. Adele distances herself from Trump. Um, and also the video and audio. You can check that out more on bbc.co.uk. In the sporting news now, upcoming fixtures for the Barclays Premier League. Arsenal play Southampton tonight. No, tomorrow night. Sorry. We'll be playing Arsenal playing Southampton at 7:45. Again, Arsenal at home to Southampton. Leicester at home to Liverpool also at 7:45. Same with Norwich are at home to Tottenham at 7:45. Sunderland and Man City are also at home. Sunderland's at home to Man City at 7:45. West Ham United are at home to Aston Villa. And that's also at 7:45. And then at 8 o'clock, Crystal Palace take on Bournemouth at home. Manchester United will take on Stoke at home, and West Bromwich take on Swansea at home as well. And then Wednesday, Everton play Newcastle at home. Both games on that day at 7:45, and then also Watford play Chelsea. Looking a bit further ahead to this weekend, Manchester City will play Leicester at 12:45, and at 3 o'clock, Aston Villa at home to Norwich, Liverpool home to Sunderland, Newcastle at home to West Bromwich. And then we have Stoke are at home to Everton, Swansea at home to Crystal Palace, Tottenham at home to Watford, and at 5:30, Southampton are at home to West Ham United. And then finally on Sunday the 7th, Bournemouth are at home to Arsenal, and Chelsea are at home to Manchester United. Bournemouth game kicking off at 1:30, and the Chelsea and Man United game at 4 o'clock. The league table currently looking at the moment, Leicester are still at the top, 3 points clear of Manchester City. Even if Leicester win their next game, they will stay at the top, even if Man City do win. Man City are playing Leicester, so if Leicester win, then they will become, I believe, 4 or 5 points clear of City. Latest results as well. Last games played, Everton played Swansea at home, losing 2-1 to Swansea. And also Arsenal played Chelsea, which Chelsea won against Arsenal 1-0. On Saturday the 23rd, Norwich played Liverpool, with Norwich winning. Liverpool winning 5-4. An awesome comeback actually, when Norwich were ahead 3-0 at the end of the first half. Crystal Palace played Tottenham. Tottenham are away, and they won 3-1 against Crystal Palace. Also, Leicester are at home to Stoke, winning 3-0. And Manchester United were at Southampton on the 23rd, which Southampton beat Manchester United 1-0. Sunderland were at home to Bournemouth as well, which the game drew 1-1. Watford were at home to Newcastle, and Watford winning 2-1. West Brom were at home to Aston Villa. It was a goalless game, drawing 0-0. And then West Ham were at home to Manchester City, where the game drew 2-2. Other news, not much to report in the Formula One. Cricket, not much else to report as well, other than England to assess Roy back injury, BBC to show ICC major event highlights. Rugby union, Hartley must play like Tarzan Jones. And the rugby leagues, Bennett offered England role by RFL. And then in tennis, Kontar breaks into the world top 30. Can Ruthless Djokovic become the greatest ever? And in the final, Djokovic beat Murray in straight sets. I think Murray's mind was really on other things, just because of his baby that is due. His wife is due to have a baby relatively soon. Here we go. So anyways, if you guys have any questions, send them in and I'll be happy to answer them. And then finally, in the athletics news, banned athletics officials appeal. Jamili PB wins 60 meters at Welsh indoors. And then now finally we go on to the news, the weather at the moment. So as you know, at the moment the UK are being battered by Windstorm Henry. Looking at the weather forecast in my local area, set to remain relatively dry and calm. Though the air pressure is actually rising at the moment. Henry is just passing north, but the air pressure is set to drop overnight tonight when we have Windstorm Henry coming through. Then high pressure should set in for a little while before the next front comes in. Looking ahead, not much else to report other than cloudy, overcast times with light rain expected throughout most of the remainder of the week. Now we go to London, Greater London. Expecting some sun tomorrow during the day between 11 and possibly around about 4 o'clock. I see on the comments, Call Me Pringles is watching. Hey, dude. So I lost my train of thought now. Forecast calling for a mainly settled week with overcast to the latter stages of the week. Though not much else to report on that. Now going a little bit further north, Glasgow are really in the path of Henry, expecting heavy rain throughout the night. Weather warnings have been issued for this area, and expecting heavy rain and wind through tomorrow until around about 4 or 5 o'clock, where the storm should start to head off and should set in for a relatively more nicer evening. So there's a yellow warning of wind in effect for Glasgow from 12:55 today, and is in effect until 10 o'clock tomorrow. Southwesterly gales will continue to affect northern parts of the UK during Monday, strengthening further to bring locally severe gales by Monday night before easing on Tuesday morning. Gusts of 60 miles per hour are likely quite widely, with up to 70 mile per hour winds in more exposed spots. Much of Scotland is covered by an associated amber wind warning, where winds will be stronger still, and there is a high risk of higher levels of disruption. Please be aware the risk of disruption to transport as well as power supplies with some structural damage also possible. Also, a amber warning is in effect for the same area from 1500 today through until 900 tomorrow. A deep area of low pressure will push quickly towards eastwards, close to the north of Scotland later on Monday and into Tuesday. Some very strong west to southwesterly winds are expected to develop on the southern and westerly flanks of this system, affecting much of Scotland. Gusts of 70 to 80 miles per hour are expected widely, whilst 90 miles per hour gusts are expected in a more exposed areas, especially in the Western Isles, along the western coast as well. Added to this, some very large waves are expected, which may lead to localized flooding of the coastal roads and causeways. Winds will ease during Tuesday morning, but will be very strong in places for the morning rush hour. Be prepared for some potentially severe weather causing transport disruption and difficult driving, some structural damage, dangerous coastal conditions, and disruption to power supplies. The latest observations had a thick cloud there at the moment, 6-degree temperatures with a west-southwesterly wind of 28 miles per hour. Humidity is 71%, visibility is good, and the air pressure is 994 millibars and rising. Later stages of the week, mainly unsettled Wednesday evening, with much of Thursday being dominated by rain. And on Friday, heavy rain is expected throughout the day, which could also lead to some localized flooding as well. Not much else to report on the weather scene, but other than that, and the tropical systems not much active at the moment. Though the southern hemisphere hasn't really picked up for current time of year. There's only been, I believe, between 5 and 10 named storms so far. Quite low for start of a year. Though both storms currently active at the moment are invests. One just off the coast of Madagascar with winds of 35 miles per hour. Though over land at the moment, so may not be designated just as of yet. And also Invest 93S to the northeast of Reunion and Mauritius. Approximately, I would say, around about 500 miles from Mauritius and Reunion. Anyway, that's all from me now. Thank you guys for watching. This is Force 15 signing off.